Hey, what's happening? This is Cool Cars with Chris and Courage. How you doing today, buddy?
I'm good, man. Good Saturday all in all. Great to be here as usual.
Man, we are trying the old video room. Got the thing fired up, ready to roll, man. And so it's Saturday. Weather has changed a little bit. I thought it would be cooler this week, but I think as we record this, I think maybe summer's right around the corner.
Yeah. I mean, we've been ebbing and flowing with weather lately, but this wasn't too bad. I was we weren't up here. We were actually in San Diego, in your neck of the woods, somewhat. But I mean, weather there was pretty perfect. Like I didn't run into a scenario where I was just sweating and kind of miserable kind of deal. So it's been pretty good. But we had some random heat spikes, earlier in the week where it's just like, you're like, is it summer or not? Like, you just kind of get a little frustrated. Like, should I be considered summer or not?
Dude, I remember that during, was it February this year? I think it was.
Mm-hmm.
February. Yeah, I think it was maybe January, but definitely February, which is usually a month where things are just wet, cold. It was, we had some heat waves. Had to turn the air conditioning on, run the AC, which is kind of nuts. But, we did have some gray sky. Like it's been pretty consistent where we start out the morning pretty gray sky, like a little bit overcast, like a little bit of mist, rain here and there. I was actually, just not to already start on the tangent, but I was actually in Dallas for 2 days this week for a work trip. You didn't drive there, did you? You took your aunt all the way over there?
Absolutely not.
Oh man, you should have, man. It'd be like a 8-hour, 10-hour. Maybe 12-hour trip, maybe.
I would definitely need an award for that. Like I would not do that on my own fruition. Like I would need some type of recognition for doing that. But
not an attaboy. Like, good job.
Yeah. It was what I think like a 21. Weirdly enough, I did map it just to see if I would have drove, like what it would have been.
Oh, how long would it take you?
I think it was like 21 hours or something like that.
That's straight driving, too. It's not.
That was straight, yeah.
That's not stopping for fuel or nothing. Who does that? Nobody does that, You
don't need that. But I got a 11-gallon tank, You have
to make like 15 stops or whatever to fill up gas or whatever it is. But what was going on in Dallas? Just work trip?
Yeah, I had a work trip out there, and I got to realize that we really shouldn't complain about our weather here in SoCal, because Dallas particularly is just so unpredictable with weather. Like, I've experienced a lot of the delays with my first flight going there got delayed by 5 hours or something like that, because they were, they had thunderstorms on that end. And coming back, I think it was also about 5 hours that it got delayed. So I got on the plane around 8:00 Central Time, didn't land here until about 12 or so, and didn't make it home until 1 a.m. And
wow, look at you.
It was fun times. It's a cool little town over there, but I just got to realize, do not complain about our weather, because they're in a whole different deal over there.
Oh, I bet they are. Oh yeah, they get everything though. I heard they get was it like softball size hail too at times too, that break windshields and things like that, and all kinds of damage. You see all
the insurance companies just hate it over there. I imagine
that in Florida too, because they hate Florida for all the flooding, and they get stuff like that too. I don't think they get any like hail, but they do get like a lot of water damage. I would think it's probably a big concern in Florida. Like, I don't want to buy a used car from Florida.
I remember we talked about that.
It could be flood damage or whatever.
Yeah.
So in the world of cars, speaking of cars, what's happening in the hottest, latest news coming out of is it Dodge or is it Ram? I don't know if you consider, I always call them Dodge Ram, but actually they're two separate companies now. But I think they're the same, but I guess you call it Ram, like Ram trucks. What it is, right?
That actually is a good point, because I'm still in that, Dodge mentality. So I still call them Dodge, but yeah, Ram is doing some new things. And,
I almost bought a Ram truck, to tell you the truth. Before I bought my first F-150, I was looking at the Ram trucks because the Ram trucks, one thing about Ram, at least back then, I don't know what they do today, but back then they were always innovating with cool like gadgets and things that other companies weren't really like on board with. Like, for example, they were the first ones, as far as you know, they might be the only ones still that do the rear suspension that's got spring suspension in the rear versus leaf springs.
Little leaf springs. Mm-hmm.
Right. They were doing that. And also, which supposedly gives you a really nice like car ride on a truck is what I've heard. I mean, I've did a sample test drive in one, but I never like owned one. And the other really cool thing that I liked is they did was this cool little mini toolbox in the actual like side fender. Did you see these ones?
I feel like I started to see those on other trucks other than Ram, but I have seen that before.
But that was the thing. But I did notice when at the auto show when I looked at that thing, it looked really cool. But the problem is in order to make that little toolbox or whatever it is on the side of the fenders work, is they have to make the actual bed itself smaller. They kind of make the bed, its space in the middle, a little smaller than a normal truck bed would have.
How big is the toolkit though? How many?
I forget the dimensions, but they did have a plug in the bottom so you could fill with ice. Like one demo, they had it like as a cooler, you know? And you can drain it out kind of deal. I don't remember. You know, I mean, it's a toolbox kind of thing, which is kind of a cool thing to have. But you do you sacrifice actual space in the actual bed. That's the same thing if you bought like an aftermarket toolbox and slapped it on the end of your truck.
Yeah, I'm trying to think like, is it like one of those like 200-piece snap-on
well,
sets
it's built into the truck. It's built into your fender. So it's like your fender where your tire sits, like that part there is an extra like toolbox area. So I thought it was kind of neat. They do stuff like that. And with the suspension, the Hemi engines were coming out. And I think at the time those Hemi engines came out, there wasn't any other real like trucks of its size that had kind of like power output like the Hemis were putting out back in the early 2000s when it was Dodge Ram. And then I don't know when they switched over to just regular Ram, maybe around 2010.
I think it was, kind of earlier. I can probably look that up on the fly,
But what is Ram, like, what are they going to do now? Like, what's their next move? Are they going to make a Ram? Oh, they already have the TRX. So what could they do now?
Well, so people did think that the TRX was going to die because of all of what was going on with, emissions and them even changing the Challenger, but the Charger was what they're calling it now, going to the Hurricane, V6 and,
which is what is the Hurricane V6 for those who don't know it? Actually, think of the V6. What is it?
Straight six. So it's they went basically full on like kind of German style with that.
Like German style, you mean like BMW?
Yeah.
Maybe Mercedes, maybe. Oh, I lost you, Courage. I lost your audio.
What happened there?
There you go. Now you're back.
I'm back.
Yeah.
Huh. Technical difficulties. But yeah, what else? Yeah, I think Mercedes does have a few, straight six in their lineup, but it's definitely in my mind, has been more of a BMW thing.
Yeah, they put BMW's been doing straight sixes for years, and they've done it in their all the M series, but it's just regular like 3 Series, 5 Series, 5 Series. I think they use a straight six in the. I'm not up to speed on my BMW, numbers and stuff, but I do know they were using straight sixes and everything. I think some of the crazier,
except for those gens where they just decide to do whatever with like the M3, the one that everybody loves, the E90 generation M3s.
Was that one of the V8 they had? They had a V8 version.
Yeah.
Or was that M4?
So no, that was before the M4. So it was that generation. Yeah, the E90X they call it, but then they also had the E92 with the V8. And then that was also when they were getting crazy with the 5 Series with the V10s and doing those kinds of stuff. So
I bet you if you had a dealership, you're trying to sell a V10 anything right now, like right now, with the gas prices, I'm sure you couldn't give that thing away.
Well, yeah, I mean, jumping ahead a little bit, like we're talking about, is that, again, people thought that the TRX and, these performance trucks with the V8s and everything and performance were going to be dead. But they actually have announced that they're bringing back the TRX now with, 777 horsepower.
Same motor or the new motor?
I think there's some evolutions around it. I got to look more into those details, but it's probably still based around just kind of an evolution of the previous motor. But they're saying that, some of these more like these super trucks or street trucks that they're starting to build now are kind of a recalling back to the old Ram SRT-10. So the one that took the Viper's V10 and threw it in there.
Now was that engine exactly the same as the Viper engine, or was it like a truck version of the Viper engine? I mean, because I know didn't have a stick. I think it was threaded to an automatic.
They did make manual versions
for
of them,
the
actually.
truck version.
For the truck. Yep.
No way.
They weren't obviously as popular, but there were some manual SRT-10 RAM pickups that.
What do you think one of those sells at auction today?
I really want to look it up. I'm sure.
Not even just like not like a unicorn like you're saying with like a manual, but like say just an automatic version, which I'm sure. And those things I remember at the time. I think Ford had their Ford Lightning. Around the same time.
I think they were basically that era. Those were the ones. It's like you really want the high performance.
I wanted a Lightning so bad. Not talking the electric one today, kids. I'm talking about the one from like
different era,
like early 2000s, and it had the 5.4 liter supercharged V8 with I don't think it had any extra cab, but single cab, but it might have had the flared fenders, and it was kind of lower with like street tires. It was more like a street truck than an off-road truck.
The Brian O'Connor special.
That's what it was. That's when I saw that again. I was like, when I first saw that movie, dude, I was like, there's no way using a Lightning as a delivery truck. At the time I saw the movie, I was working for parts delivery. And the time I was working for a parts store doing delivery, just like Brian. I was Brian, basically. And I was driving some piece of crap truck with no radio.
Yeah.
Like.
And you're like over here, like, can you guys upgrade? Like, what's going on here?
I'm like, how? Okay, that scene, I'm like, okay, this movie's fake. Okay.
Yeah.
The street racing, no, that was real. But the fake part was the fact that he drove a Lightning as a delivery truck for a parts store.
The funniest thing about that is that one of the comments I saw on one of the posts about these new trucks is somebody was saying how like there's going to be so many like, construction contractors, writing off these things as their work truck in this like performance, either like the Scat Pack or like, I mean, you'd have to have some like level of audacity to be using the TRX as your work truck. But
well, they'll put their like, I've seen people do this all the time. I'm sure you've seen it, but there's lots of contractors that have their own business, their own construction business, siding business, whatever business it is. And they get like a Raptor or a TRX or some big giant F350. It's like jacked up on like 40-inch tires. And then they got their company logo all over it. And they just tax write off that thing or whatever. Yeah. So, but RAM is going to do something. They're bringing back, you said, is it going to be called what's not TRX? What's it called? The SRT? Is it even called the SRT?
So SRT was kind of like a brand for them as well in a sense, and so they're using that now to kind of do some Scat Pack versions of their trucks, kind of the same way that they had with the tiers of Challengers and Chargers, how you had like the RT, and then you had the SRT Scat Pack and all of those, and then you had the Hellcats. They're kind of doing the same now with these trucks, which is kind of a callback to, like you said, like the Ford Lightning. Those were street trucks. Like you weren't meant to take those off road like most people were doing with trucks, or do like heavy lifting, and honestly, to be honest, even towing. Like you could tow with them, but nobody really was doing that with like a Ford Lightning.
I mean, you could tow with a Miata too. I don't think
you could do. You could tow with anything at the end of the day, but that's usually the selling point of trucks is like, I'm getting to work, haul, and do all of these things. And that, I think that genre of, street truck has kind of been lost from that time period, really.
It was. Do you ever remember when Toyota had their Tacoma? They had a street version called the X-Stream or X something or other.
I do remember. I don't know a lot about it, but I do remember.
Yeah, it was basically like, because most of the Tacomas you see are like kind of lifted with like beefier tires and four-wheel drive and pre-runners and things like that. But they did have one that was like just the opposite of that. It was called the X or something, Extreme or something. It's been X was like in every logo. Like everything. I think it might have been an energy drink called X something or two. And so X was like all popular rage, put X in front of everything. And they did this X truck, and it was like this regular, like lowered with bigger tires, kind of like the SRT. It just didn't have anything. It wasn't supercharged or anything like that. It just had a regular engine, like they have in the other truck, but it had this lower stance, which is a different thing because you got two extremes. You got the off-road version and you got the street version.
You know what's funny about that too, and I actually do remember those now. I was doing a little bit of searching on my own over here, and I do remember those, and I've seen a few around actually. Some people bought those and still have those rolling on the road. You know, they're Toyotas, so you're not like overly surprised by that. But
But is anybody like souping them up with like superchargers or turbocharged or doing anything nuts to it? Just kind of like they are what they are.
you know, there's probably somebody out there, but they're not like, you know, it's not like a thing where like, you know, somebody, there's certain cars where people get like a car that they know is like, oh, I can do all like the Mexican GTR, like, you know, people get those specifically because they know that they can, you know, really like
Also,
do some
they
stuff
do
with
that
them.
so it's also can look like it's a work truck. It doesn't have that stand out. You know,
that's the definition of, you know, where a contractor can go and just, make that their work truck and then go and do all of that stuff and, you know, have it fly under the radar completely.
That's what it is. That's what it's all about. It's about not being pulled over by the cops, because I'm sure it's like, if you're all flashy and dashing, it's got like, you know, neon all over the place, and it's got hot pink, and it's got like, you know, loudest exhaust ever, and you know all this stuff.
A lot of people still end up doing the loud exhaust though, which is like
it's true. I shouldn't complain. I have two exhausts that are loud in both my cars, and I'm thinking of it. But you know, I mean, I try to still fly on the radar. You know, not to go crazy with that. But
I was gonna say real quick on the Tacoma that the Toyota actually fairly recently, I think it was, I don't know if it was SEMA or if it was something else that they had done this for, but they did actually kind of try to build like sort of a Tacoma X-Runner concept that they called it.
A newer one, like brand new?
Yeah, like this was a concept that they actually did recently, where it was like I guess it was a 400 plus horsepower Tacoma. And, you know, they showed it at SEMA in Vegas. And, you know, this was, you know, sort of their like dipping the toe of like, oh, what if we kind of brought back this sort of street truck kind of deal that everybody was doing in the past. But they didn't want to commit, like, you know, similar to a lot of things that Toyota's done.
Well, if it's easy to just take a regular car you already have in your platform, like, see, you already had the Tacoma already. All you have to do is like maybe do a suspension kit on it, like, and, you know, whatever. Put like different wheels.
Or reverse suspension kit on this, because it's like, you know, what you normally do with trucks, you lift them.
Well, I'm saying like, whatever you got to do. I'm sure you can swap out the suspension. I'm sure it's probably a matter of a few $1,000s difference on the truck itself. I mean, maybe not that much on the factory. I mean, at the factory, when the whole thing's being put together, you just slap on these different springs versus these springs, you know, whatever they do, maybe a couple different badges and a couple different things or whatever. I'm sure if you have an already existing platform to do a few modifications, that's why these companies do this. That's why they have like so many different versions of the same car. Yeah. It's because it's easy to just, for them to just make one with a V8, one with a V6, make one with a this and maybe one with that. And you kind of flip flop. It's super easy versus making a completely different car that's not related to any other car in your fleet. Cars take a big gamble when they do that.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, you know, not to maybe shift topics, but in a similar camp of companies, specifically American companies, starting to, you know, try to tap into this performance market a little bit more, is the Cadillac CT5-V Blackwing, the CT5-V Blackwing. That's been out for a while. It's always been one of those cars that everybody's like, you know, if I really just needed to have both practicality and brute force in one package, and even with the manual as well, that a lot of people were like, that's like one of their dream cars is the CT5 Blackwing. People love the CTS-V, the wagon, the coupe, you know, the four-door, all of those. But they're tapping into that method as well of, we don't want to build a whole new car yet, but we want to still see if we can capture some interests and put a little bit of extra goodies into this car and see if people will buy it. The only problem is they're making it very, very limited, but they're adding.
You put your order in yet?
Yeah. I'll have to fight with the CEO and probably all of the executive team to be even on the list of one of these, because they're only making 26, which I'm like, I really think that they could probably get a good amount of profit if they would just extend that out. Say like a couple hundred. Like they don't have to, this doesn't have to be a full-on production.
What's the retail price of one of those?
This was also what frustrated me about it. Because it was so cool to see, but take just a wild guess what you think.
I have no idea what those things run for. Honestly, I mean, okay. If I would say over $100,000. right?
Well, the CT5, just a regular CT5 Blackwing is already over 100.
That's what I'm saying. So 100 grand, 120,
yeah,
150,
way more than that.
Like 200? Are they up to 200?
I think I saw it quoted somewhere around like 230 to 240 or something of that sort.
Okay. So a question I have about the Blackwing car, because I know very little about it. I know it's a Cadillac product, GM product. GM owns Chevrolet and Cadillac and GMC and all that stuff. Is it basically? I know the Corvette is rear engine or mid engine or whatever it is. This is not that, but is it basically very similar to a Corvette, like engine power? Is it very similar?
I believe it. We'll probably get roasted if I am wrong.
That's
about
okay.
This,
Don't worry about it. Just give me all the heat. I'll take it.
Yeah. This is called Cool Cars with Chris.
That's right.
At the end of the day,
That's right. It's all. Kurt has now legal obligations of any kind.
I love it. Yeah, I'll take it.
So don't worry, you can blame me for all Courage's mishaps with what the car specs it has. He was off by 1 horsepower, by the way, guys, on this spec sheet.
Trust me, we're in the age of the internet. You get messed up for doing that kind of stuff. So.
It's okay. So this thing runs on ethanol, right? And it runs on batteries, I think, together.
You could put diesel in it if you wanted
and
to.
Diesel
as well.
too. It's called the all-in-one. Dude, they should make a car called the all-in-one. You just put whatever you want in the thing. It runs on whatever.
Because I have kids is why I watch this all the time. But the second Cars movie, Cars 2,
the all-in-all? Was it all-in-all?
Yeah. I literally always think about that all the time. It's like, somebody should just like do that. Like just make all in all and then just make it this whole thing now. But yeah, the Cadillac, I think that it does share the not the Z06's V8, but I'm pretty sure there's probably some similarities between like the base Corvette Stingray motor and the CT5V, because it is still it's still a regular V8.
How
it's
many
not
V8s
a flat plane crank.
Think car V8s you think they crank out over there at Cadillac GMC?
They got a good amount, because I mean, again, we talked about the Grand Sport,
high performance cars. Not talking trucks. That's a different story. Because it's a totally different type of powertrain. And so for those like high performance cars, it's gotta be the Corvette and whatever this Cadillac stuff is. And I don't think they put anything in their like regular Chevy cars. I think is there a Chevy car that takes a V8?
Not anymore. It was just a Camaro, and like you said, the trucks.
But did they have a sedan though that took a V8?
No.
So if you want a V8 in GM, you had to go over to Cadillac. Basically,
at this point, like absolutely. But even in that era where they still had like the Impala and the Malibu and those cars, like those didn't have V8s either. It's been a while since we had like the Caprice, like the Chevy SS, if you remember those. They were like they were just like the Holden, like Australian cars brought over and rebadged.
Okay. I remember. Yeah, they had a Pontiac had one too. It was a Pontiac GTO.
The G8. They had the GTO. They also had the G8, if you remember that. The Pontiac G8. It was just a sedan and had the same. I think they had the same motor. But that was actually one of my dream cars back in the day. I love the GTO and I love the G8. Yeah, I guess I use that term pretty loosely. Somebody told me today, but
really? They use the dream car like. We think of dream car, you think of like Lamborghini and like Ferrari and things like that.
There was a point where I said like a dream car for mine was like a Scion TC. So,
dude, a dream car for me was like one that ran and like it got me to work without breaking down.
Yeah, like
dream car.
Like, I just
not
dreamed.
The bus. Anything not the bus is dream car.
Yeah.
Right, the bus, man. So gas prices are freaking expensive. Speaking of which, like I know it keeps going up and up and up. And I think I posted something today. I haven't checked if I got any response up. I posted something today saying something like, I must be in the top 1% because I have 2 cars that are with full gas tanks.
Yeah. Dude, I'm telling you, I was telling my wife that the other day, is that like you get to a point where like if you fill up your tank, like, okay, you got to realize like you're in a pretty good situation. Like everything might not be great, you might be going through some stuff.
I haven't driven anywhere, so that might be why they're still full.
Well, also because I know that we talked about this last time too, is that we're very different in terms of our mentality of gas tanks. Like you'll probably go somewhere and get to like 3/4 of a tank and want some more gas.
Oh, I always fill up. I saw something. I saw a post from a mechanic on, I follow stuff on Instagram. I saw this one mechanic was talking about, he says that you need to keep your car at least half a tank always. And the reason why is for the fuel pump, because it cools the gas in there cools the fuel pump. And if you get the car too low in the fuel tank, it has to pull in some air or something or other. He says it's better overall if your car, I heard, this is not the only guy I've heard this from too. Another guy said the same thing too, that if you can keep your car at half a tank or more all the time. Just
my car would have hated me today, man.
Well, I mean, listen, if you're driving somewhere on a road trip, you got to do what you got to do. Obviously, you can't always keep your car filled up or half a tank or more. Obviously, you can't. But if you're just like going to work, 5 days a week or whatever, you might. It's
like a planned event, and
stop and get gas like every other day and just top the car off. I mean, I know it's convenient. It's out of your way. It just depends. I mean, I guess it depends on your lifestyle, how like when you get gas, where you get gas. If it's like out of your way to get gas, even if it is more expensive, it's not gonna make a difference because whether you buy a full tank today or like a quarter tank,
you're still paying the same money.
Yeah, you're paying pretty much the same amount of price. The thing is with me is that my ex-wife, my kid's mom, I don't know if we were married or dating at the time, but she like totally screwed up her gas tank. That had to pull the gas tank out, failed fuel pump, and the guy at the shop said basically it's because she was running her tank down to empty a lot, down to like fumes. It's like the light comes on kind of like all the time. And he said back then, he said you shouldn't do this because he says it's picking up a lot of the junk at the bottom of the tank. Gets pucked up. I think there's filters and fuel filters and all that kind of stuff. But they were suggesting that never run your tank that low. And another guy said the same thing too about the fuel pump and that kind of deal. I was like, it kind of makes sense. So I try to keep the fuel on my truck at least half a tank, because do you have any idea what it would cost me to fill that thing up?
To fill all the way,
from empty? It'd be like a mortgage payment.
You're definitely in the 130s,
No, like probably over 2. It'd probably be over 200.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Because what, 30, 20?
36 gallon.
Oh, okay, yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Because I know that when it was at half a tank and gas was this price before, and I was going from half up, it was close to $100.
Yeah.
So that was from half a tank. So I figure from empty, close to empty, you double that or whatever.
Do they still do the thing where like you can't fill up like past a certain amount on like the same? There was a time where they were doing that. Where
I remember the last big gas crisis we had, and I went to go fill up and went over $100, and it just stopped at $100. I was like,
you had to do like a new transaction.
And I didn't play that game, so I guess I'm not topping off today.
I guess I'm done. Yeah.
I guess that's it. I'm heading out of here. But I remember a while ago at work, we had these fuel cards for our work trucks. They have big tanks on there and stuff, and diesel's a little bit more than gas. I remember a long time ago, I took a picture of the actual pump after it was done pumping the fuel of the truck. It was like $290 or whatever like that. Wow. I posted on social media. People are like losing their minds, or whatever. But I've seen lots of videos lately of truckers and all kinds of people posting. One guy today I saw, he showed a video that he paid over $850 to fill up his truck.
What are we talking about?
A semi truck, of course.
A semi, yeah.
But it wasn't. He said it wasn't even empty. It was like a quarter tank in the truck. We're talking like maybe 150 gallons or something like that. It was a lot of gas. It was a lot. God, it's so crazy right now filling up. And
I was gonna say I used to play this game way back called American Truck Simulator.
Is it like Sims or whatever?
It's a simulator in the sense where like it tries to be like as realistic as it can be for a video game of like how to be a truck driver and even like getting down to like different gearings of trucks, like with all of like the gears that you run through and you got to fill up gas and everything.
So you have your CDL now or what? You got your CDL from doing this?
yeah. They even like had like ability to like kind of quote unquote like CB radio like folks that are like nearby like within your vicinity when you play online. Like it was cool. Like that was early college
I remember
days.
I think I remember that too.
Yeah. They met. It was cool. I'm actually, now that I brought it up, I'm curious because they basically had started with only like 3 or 4 states, and then they gradually would like release packs where you would get an additional 3 states, and the goal was
So what states were they? Were they like middle of the country?
No, they started out with California.
That's a big state to
Nevada.
start. That's a big state, though.
Yeah, they were like, well, if we give you like 3 really big states out of the gate, like you'll be happy until we like develop the rest of the U.S. So I'm curious now to see, because it's been a decade or so since I played the game, and I'm curious
It's probably
to see.
your phone now. It's probably a phone app or whatever now.
Oh my God!
You probably can do. But yeah, the fueling for truckers, especially independent truckers. And that's the thing about, like, I thought about doing this years, like, long time ago. Like, buy your own truck. It even can be local trucking too. It can be like a box van truck, like an Amazon type. Before Amazon kind of picked up, you can like be a contractor. You can like deliver, goods from warehouses or people or whatever it is, all around town. There's a lot of companies that do that. But now with fuel prices being so high, especially you can do like an Uber driver. Like, I can't imagine what it's like being an Uber driver today. Does Uber actually like pay you more because the gas is like double what it was like last year?
And I was talking to, like, again, I was Ubering when I was in Dallas, and one of the guys I was talking to was like, obviously the percentage that they're taking from rides is different than it used to be. So I mean, I highly doubt, maybe there's some like percentage increase because of the fuel situation, but they're obviously taking more than they were before just from being on the app in general. So I doubt that it's a net gain at all for the drivers versus for Uber. So yeah, I mean, it's, that definitely if you're driving like an EV or something of that sort, like for Uber, you're probably winning right now. The guy that I did Uber, I Uber, the last guy that took us to the airport was driving a Mach-E actually. And
I've seen those. Yeah. A lot of those on the road.
Those are actually they're kind of nice. Like,
they're cheaper for as far as, like, I think they're cheaper than a Tesla, right?
You on the used market, probably.
I'm saying from new to new, apples to apples. Like, if you had a Tesla 3
I thought that they were more expensive than the Model 3.
I thought they were cheaper. I remember the Ford dealer had a bunch of them they were trying to get rid of. They couldn't get rid of them, and they were just sitting there. I know. Like, if you go to a Tesla dealership to buy something, I'm sure it's all online. You order it, pick it up, whatever. I'm sure if you're buying a Tesla, you kind of know what you're getting into. You kind of know what you're going for. You kind of have an idea that you're going to get an EV. When you go to the Ford dealer, maybe not. Maybe you go look at Mustangs and they end up selling you a Mustang Mach-E instead. You're like, I mean, okay, I guess it'll work.
I always tell people, I tell people all the time, is like the big, like, people always say negative things about like salesmen and stuff like that, especially car salesmen. And I'm like, a lot of times people are coming into like, car dealerships having no idea what they're there for.
But I think I'm saying if you went to a Tesla dealership, you kind of know.
Oh, yeah. No, exactly. Yeah. Versus, like, you have some options if you go to a Ford dealership. It's like, I could be looking at this versus that. But yeah, I mean, again, a lot of times, like I said, if you were originally going for a Mustang and you were talked into a Mustang, Mach-E, you didn't really know what you were going to get in the first place. Like,
right. That's probably like, I wonder if car, like, salesmen love hearing I don't know what I want to buy as long as it's got 4 wheels.
Those are probably like literally just like, bells ringing, like, oh, this is the perfect customer right now.
I'll sell them whatever they want, whatever they get. Or so you'll come in, they'll say, what's for my credit? Because I used to do the same too, honest to God. When you need a car and you don't care what it is, you just want to make sure you can get into something.
Yeah.
Run the credit and see what I qualify for. And then they may say you don't qualify for anything, or they might say you qualify for this group of cars over here. Now we kind of narrowed it down to these kind of cars. And of those cars, which one would I pick, kind of a thing. Versus the other way where it would be like maybe, they just go in and just who knows what, and the dealership just does whatever they want with them,
That was one of I've never really kind of had like a bad dealership experience, mainly because I've always been there specifically for something. Like, it was whether I like knew that dealership had the car I was looking for, or like in general, like I knew when I got there, like I saw something that I was intrigued by. Like, I've just never gone
like a radar fixed on that car.
Yeah, exactly. Like, going in. I did, again, I always forget that I even had this car, but I had a 2014 or 15 Nissan Altima for a while. Like, just literally the Uber spec white, cloth interior Nissan Altima, because I got it because I was going to Uber while I was in college still. And
So you bought a car specifically for Ubering?
It was sort of that, but also because like, you know, I just really I needed a car at the time, but I was like, well, if I'm gonna get another car, it has to be able to make me some profit or whatever. And I did that for a little while, so there was some net gain around that, and plus I sold it during COVID and actually sold it for more than it was worth really at that time.
Man.
So
I mean, might as well. I mean,
it came out somewhat on top with that car, but that was the only car that was more like, you know, okay, what can I kind of get in this price range that can still fit the bill for Ubering, but
well,
outside of that, every other time, yeah.
Like if I was going to buy a truck for work, like a work truck, a dedicated, like moving and like like hauling, you know, customers' goods and services, whatever it is. I mean, what I'm hauling. I mean, my main priority would be like find some my price range. Does it get the job done? Does it physically get the job done so I can upgrade to the next thing? I may not want to do this, you know, full time. It's like, I mean, when you buy a vehicle for say a particular purpose, like buying a shovel or something, you know, it's a tool, you know, or a hammer or whatever. This hammer's got a red handle. This hammer's does it really matter if they're hitting nails with the thing? Does it make a difference? Yeah. You know, but to some people it does, you know, but I think if you're using it for like a tool purpose, like the Uber job or the, you know, hauling whatever kind of job, I think those kind of things probably matter less. I would think, I mean, that's what I would do if I was really.
There's some people to be, I've never hit a nail with a red handle hammer.
Or whatever, you know, like does it make a difference? You know, I mean, it's the same thing with hauling. If you're hired, if you bought a pickup truck just to help somebody move, you're like your own, you know, Courage's moving company, and you're just gonna like move like boxes or whatever. I don't think you really care what color the truck is. It's just like I mean, maybe it would. I don't know, but like if it's just there to do a particular job, that's only the tool to do a job. I don't think it makes much of a difference unless you're going like, you know, a big company. You want to make it look like a big logo and your trucks are red or blue or whatever they are. I guess I get that for like a fleet standpoint. But if you're just like a regular guy doing like regular, you know, contracting work, it's just another tool or whatever. I think it matters. But but you're saying about the Cadillacs, the Blackwings have you seen many of like Cars and Coffee at all? 'Cause I haven't seen them like ever at all.
That is I mean, you see a lot of CTS-Vs like around, and I even when I say a lot, you really don't see a lot, but you definitely even see those more than you would see like a CT5 Blackwing. Like
now the person that drives this are they the same people that drive the Corvettes?
I mean, I doubt.
Dude, jean shorts with like sandals and socks on. He's got the fanny pack and he's got the one of one trophy on the windshield.
I was literally just talking about this too. Of like, I went to a car show that it wasn't even really that big because it was during Mother's Day weekend, and it was at a local winery here that does them every once in a while. But the guy I actually met, the guy that runs them, and he was like, I'm actually really happy that not a lot of people showed up because a lot of people showed up just for Mother's Day in general. And so if we had the same crowd, the Mother's Day crowd show up along with the car show crowd, it would have just been a mess logistically. So it was a pretty quiet car show, but there was one guy there, and I'm not saying anything negative about it, but
come on now.
he was there the whole time. He sat with his lawn chair right next to, he had a beautiful, I think it was Nassau blue Stingray Corvette, I think.
What year? Older year, newer, what?
No, it was the Stingray, the old Stingray, like the 60s.
Oh, okay.
Stingray or 70s, I think. Yeah, again, don't, cool cars with Chris. Don't worry about
don't worry about that stuff,
Yeah. But yeah, beautiful car, but literally spent the whole time, like we were there for probably an hour and a half, almost 2 hours. And he sat outside with his lawn chair. He had the shorts, he had the hat, and, hood open.
What hat did he have on? Did he say Corvette or something?
I'm pretty sure it had
like
a Chevy logo.
Chevy logo or Corvette, the Corvette logo. Yeah. It's got to be the Corvette logo, right?
Yep. Spent the whole time there, and a few people came up. He asked questions, and they went on their way. But he was there to be posted up to tell you everything about his Corvette, and that's just the demographic. That's all I'm saying.
Well, that's what Cool Cars with Chris is all about, man. Cool Cars with Chris is about, cool cars, your cool car. Everyone's got a cool car. Everyone's got a cool story about their car. People who have cool cars usually, but not always, but usually like to talk about their car and like showcase it. And if you ask them a question about their car, usually people be very friendly, want to like talk about this. Hey, I bought this thing back in Nam or whatever kind of thing or whatever it was, and something.
Or like, who's Emmanuel, who's like literally world traveled with his car. That did the 240Z guy. Yeah.
Right. So, or they're working on a new car right now or a project car or something like that. And that's where the whole show kind of like the idea of the show came about is because like I've had a cool car and every time somebody would ask me about my car, I would just go on and on and on and on and on and on. I said, I know you got to catch a flight right now, but let me tell you about the car. I know you got to go somewhere. Let me tell you more. And I think there's a lot of car people are like that, but they also sometimes get the opposite of that, where there's like, don't look at it, don't touch it, just keep on moving, don't even, But it's like, why? I mean, why do you have a car like? Why are you even doing that? Like, why are you even like waxing it and showing it? Why are you even, I mean,
what's the point if you're going to be closed off like that?
Some people are just weird. People are into weird things and whatever makes them happy, I guess, But I think if you've got a cool car, chances are you're going to want to share it, show it off, wash it, wax it, detail it, whatever, all the things as much as possible, and then show it off. And anybody wants to have a conversation with your car, say cool car, whatever. I get that even here, like I'm leaving and coming and going sometimes, and I get the nice ride or cool. I had this one guy at the liquor store pizza place by my house here. And he were talking a while back about my car because I was doing we changed the filter on it, the air filter. And we're talking, because he used to have a 350, he said. And he said he sold it or I don't happen to it. But he said, oh, your car's so nice. And how much you want for it? I said, you want to buy it for me? And he's like, yeah. But he was a lowball me, like $5,000. And I'm like, come on, dude. I mean, this isn't like a beater with like, 200,000 miles on a bumper on the ground. But
people love their cool cars, man. I mean,
they do.
The backstory. I mean, that's how this even came about. With me, being on this and us kind of, going through this is it started like that. It started as us originally Cool Cars with Chris, being on talking about the end and now multiple episodes being on here talking cars. So
yeah, I think there's something cool about cars, and I know it does suck right now. I mean, I'm the elephant in the room about the gas prices, and I know that like I wonder if the gas prices are affecting any of these cars and coffee events, especially ones that are far you have to travel to, kind of things. But it didn't really affect Willow Springs. I mean, people went out there.
People were out there racing, and
they towed stuff out there, which has got to be a big gas hog. Dude, if we had to tow my car out there with my truck, I would have spent so much money in gas. Yeah. I would have gotten gas like 4 times, like twice on the way up and twice on the way back.
Yeah.
Or whatever. And filling that truck up, it'd been like $1,000 in gas.
Yeah. What's your towing capacity on your truck?
I think it's 10,000, down to 10,000. I think somewhere around there.
If I paid you to tow the in out to a track day, would you do
the gas? You could afford the gas, dude.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, exactly. Like, how much does this cost? More than you can afford. Pal.
That's right. That's right. Just to tow it out there. Well, like I said earlier, that the gas to fill a truck up would probably be at today's prices from let's say from a quarter tank, not from empty, from a quarter tank. It'd probably be over $200. And then I'd probably have to do that multiple times because when you do tow, you lose mileage. So the mileage on the highway, it's say 20 miles a gallon on a good day, empty, cruising, flat, but you're towing something and you got hills and everything else too. You're looking probably dropping that down to maybe like 13 miles a gallon, maybe on the highway, maybe or something like that. Mm-hmm. I never tried it, but, and so,
going out to Button Willow, like that's all the way up in Bakersfield. Like that's,
I never really towed anything big with my other truck. I did. This one, I didn't do much towing with this truck. The other one I did, I told my dad's dune buggy Minx out the desert. We had
a Minx?
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Nice.
He sold that not long ago, but, we would tow that at the desert. with 2 quads in the back of the truck standing upright. So you had 2 quads in the back of the truck bed, plus towing the Minx all the way out there with my other F-150, which had the same engine. It had the 5.0 Coyote.
Yeah.
First gen.
So you had a Mexican GTR.
Well, he didn't have the turbo. I wasn't turbocharged or supercharged. Although I did think about it for this truck here. But maybe I could. Maybe someday. I don't know. I thought about it. Maybe when the truck hits 100,000 miles, I'll do it as like a birthday present. Give it a supercharger or whatever. And then the engine blows and I'm totally out.
Well, I was gonna say that potentially a very short-lived present.
It blows and I have like no warranty on the thing or nothing, and then it's like, mucho dinero to fix it or whatever, but knock on wood, hopefully the truck's running okay. Although I haven't been driving the truck as much, I've been driving the car a lot. I noticed to work and other things. Like anytime I don't need to take more than 2 people, I've been taking the car.
Yeah.
If I take 2 people or more, I take the truck. If I have to go to the grocery store or haul anything or move anything in the back of the truck bed, I'll take the truck. But most of the time I've been taking the Z a lot. Like I took it today. I took it last night. I mean, well, we took Shannon's car up last night, but we didn't. I've been driving the car around, and I think that I was kind of thinking about this today. Is like I'm trying. Some people who they buy like a 2-door sports car, like I have like the Z or a Miata or something like that. It can't be your only car. It just. I mean, even if you're a single guy, eventually at some point you're gonna need to haul something bigger than like a sack lunch. So I think that's but with me, I'm trying to make it work to where times I don't need to carry anybody, times I don't need to haul anything, times I don't need to carry more than 2 people, I'll take the Z.
Yeah.
Because the car can't sit. But even with the mile, I'm trying to calculate the miles. Even with that kind of like usage on the car, I'm still maybe doing 6,000 a year.
Yeah.
On the car. Which really isn't much. No.
And really, at the end of the day too, it's like that should be the goal with the car is like to, if I can drive it, like I'll drive it. Like, obviously, yeah, like you said, if you really more than 2 people, like you got no choice. You gotta drive the truck. But I feel like that's how you got the right car is if you have that mentality that if I can drive it, I'm gonna drive it. Like, versus a lot of folks that, again, they're in that collector mindset where it's like, oh, I'm gonna let this sit. And
dude, I know the Z is not gonna be worth much. It probably hit the floor. It's probably hit the floor or close to the floor when I bought the car, price wise. And so I don't think it's going to go much. It might go lower, but I don't think it's not going to go up. I don't think.
I wouldn't say it was spike, but I mean, I do like I've been coming to terms more and more with what you talked about with like I think it was more of, I don't want to say the downfall, but it was more of the negative connotation that it was more analog and like it didn't have a lot of tech compared to like the newer cars that were coming out back, when it was out. But now people are realizing that that's kind of what they want is something more analog and, less techy and really just more engaging. And I think that there's going to be an appreciation to the fact that like that really was, despite Nissan and all of their issues that were going on, like that really was kind of that car's, saving grace was that it was just like a true sports car. And,
oh yeah.
Definitely. I think down the road there, it probably won't be, worth GTR pricing, but I think people will really kind of recognize that like that was a valuable time in car history where, Nissan kind of pushed back against everybody wanting to go techie and decided to keep the true analog spirit of the sports car. I think people are going to appreciate it.
Well, do you remember, did I send you that thing where I saw a post saying that 350Zs were going to start going up in value?
Uh-huh. Yeah.
And so that's what, I was looking at 350s and I could not find one that was, you can find them around online and people do post it from time to time. I saw one that was posted. I don't know what state it was in, but it was like a 05 mint condition, original floor mats, original, like all the books, everything. And it was like untouched. And it was like, they had like less than 50,000 miles on the thing, maybe around 50,000. I don't know. But it was like, they wanted 25 grand for the thing. Mm-hmm. And I'm thinking like, man, that thing was like 25 grand brand new probably or whatever, or whatever it was. So I know the 350s for some reason right now, they're starting to go up in value because they're very rare to find one that has not been modified or wrecked or whatever. especially in a coupe form. They say if you want one that hasn't been touched, chances are getting a convertible one.
Mm-hmm.
Those ones usually aren't touched. They're automatics. Usually, most of them are all automatics. Although I did find a few sticks in a convertible. Very rare. Those are rare too. But I was looking for 350s, and I remember when I drove the 350, it does feel like good. It felt like a solid, easy, fun car. It felt very fun to drive. When I jumped out of that and got into 370 I have now, it felt like an evolution of the 350. It felt like dangerously fast. Compared to the 350 felt fun and easy to drive. It felt like, almost like it's me if you're in a Miata. I haven't driven a Miata in years, but I guess a Miata where it's like, it's fast, it's fun, but it's not crazy, like, gonna like wrap it around. No, it's not crazy fast.
Yeah.
But
you could, but
I mean, I guess you can do anything. You can do anything with anything. But I guess I'm saying is that like it's the 350 felt fun, felt quick. It felt a lot of mid-range torque and power in the mid-range. Yeah. But it didn't feel like a rocket ship the way the 370 does or did when I first drove it. And so but yeah, I mean, the 350 I always thought was a cool looking car. Even back then, I still think today they're cool looking cars. They do get up. They do have some zoom to them. They can get up there and get, they're pretty fast, pretty reliable for the most part. Many cars got issues, I guess, and that kind of stuff. But I don't know, man. Like if you had a choice today, I guess, same price, would you choose 350 or 370?
Out of the two, that's a good question. I mean,
370 technically on paper has got more modern and more performance and more.
Yeah.
Like that's kind of why I lean 370, but
that's where I'm at too. Cause even, again, still sort of being in the Infinity Nissan camp, the M35 that I had the year before that, it actually had different infotainment. It had like a different design. Like there were a couple of things that were different from 07 to 08. And those were things that I appreciated with that car, with like some of the additional tech that it had, but not crazy. Like it has some cool features to say that it had in the 08, but it would be kind of the same thing where the 350 would be cool, but there's a lot more compromise you'd probably be dealing with you probably have to go back to having one of those like receiver things where you like to like, have Bluetooth over your radio. You'd have to have one of those. Dude,
you just go to like your nearest car stereo place and just like switch out the like literally the one I got for Jacob's Mustang, the one, the head unit itself. You can order on Amazon, you can order on their website. That unit is like $200, maybe $250, which really isn't that much because a factory radio is probably $1,000. Who knows what?
Which was unique too with those that because I can't even really do that with the M even because
it's all
because it's it's like it's all one display and it's the whole. It was really like an early car to have like that integration where that was literally the nervous system of the car. The Z's weren't really like that though. To your point, they were a lot more. You could just put in another head unit and you'd be good. But I think I would probably still go 370 as well.
That's kind of where I went with the first other car I bought. I was looking at 350s, but then I was like thought the same thing. I thought, well, if I can get a 370, it's more powerful. It's got better suspension. It's got just better tech. It's got some newer livable features, I guess, in the 350.
Yeah.
The 350 might feel like a go-kart. I feel like it's basic, just a shell compared to 370 with stuff. Some people like that, they like the bare bones feel of a car, if they want to like rip it all out and do whatever. But
this might be a bit of a hot take though, is that if I was going for a little bit more of that like bare bones, kind of more go-kart, maybe really like analog feel, I would end up going older Z 300, 300ZX, even like a 240,
240,
because you're really gonna get like that experience. The 350 for me is like kind of in a weird spot because it's sort of new enough where you would sort of be expecting a little bit more, newer features and things like that, but you're not gonna get it until you go to 370. Versus if you're in, again, the 300, the 260 era, 280 era, you're really getting like the true experience of that. and you shouldn't be buying those cars to really even be caring about the modern technology and everything.
No, but I think there's a level of reliability that you kind of
that too,
you kind of
which
want.
the Z32 300 ZXs are, I tell everybody, if I would have had a twin turbo 300 ZX, I don't think I would have had a 300 ZX for very long, to be totally honest, because there's just so much that could go wrong with those. I mean, if you maintain them right and you got one, that was in a good state from the beginning, they last long. Like, I know people that have a lot of miles on them, but if you got one that just was not very well taken care of and just had a lot of like deferred maintenance, it's it's going to be a headache, and anything that you need to do to it it's going to take, they say the whole joke of you got to pull the engine to do anything.
Wow. Well, that's my fear with this new Z is like, and it's got a lot of miles on it. I was kind of wondering, like, what's the next thing to go? But I just have to, like, I guess, kind of drive. The more I drive it, the more in tune I get with the car, I guess. The more I kind of like sense when things aren't quite right. Like, okay, this doesn't quite feel right, or this kind of like with the suspension. I got that thing dialed in. And it didn't feel right. I was like, it doesn't feel right for this thing. It should not be this hard. It should not be this rattle trap back here.
Yeah.
And that's kind of when I had them look at it and alignment and that kind of stuff. And whatever little thing, it's like the other Z too. When I had any kind of issues at all, I just took it to a mechanic and said, just here's my credit card. Do whatever you got to do. Fix my baby,
Yeah. Yeah.
That's whatever you got to do. Because I dropped a ton of money on the other car fixing it. But of course, it had around, at that point, 60,000, 70,000 miles on it. This one has more than that on this car. So I'm hoping that maybe those issues already happened already. But I just don't know, And so in the meantime, I just kind of like is, keeping a feel for whatever the car could need. I just don't know until I have to, until I drive it and see like the battery issue or the suspension issue but no check engine lights. The other car was throwing me check engine lights. This one hasn't thrown me any check engine lights yet, except for that battery issue. But other than that, like, hasn't thrown anything like that. So, which is a good sign. And, so far so good. But I was gonna say that the car, I noticed when I drove the thing how it has that drivetrain lash when you shift hard. It has like a clunky shift to it.
Yeah.
And I was reading a review about my particular year of Z, and the reviewer did make a note about that in their review of the car. So it's not just my car. It's, I guess, a thing with this car that it does that. And the other one, I didn't remember it that much because I think the other one I was using the sync rev a lot. And when the sync rev, it smooths all that out. So if you shift smoother, not so harsh, not so quick, you don't really notice it. So it's kind of one of those things I'm kind of living with. Just like a stupid key situation. I'm kind of living with that too. How I can't use the key fob. I have to put it in the slot, and I have to use a physical key to open the door. And it's probably like a couple $1,000 dealership job. And I'm like, you know what? I can live with it. Just like if I bought like a 240Z or 260Z or 280Z, there's no key fob for that. There's no remote access for those things. It's put the key in the door and you turn it that way. So I'm treating this car like a classic sports car or whatever I have. Not like it's not like I'm not driving it or whatever. Not like I'm sitting there and then collect dust. But I mean, I know I'm trying to figure out all its little quirks.
We put up with some things for sure.
And I'm just trying to get used to all the quirks it does, like the different kind of quirks away, like one thing I noticed too is that my car has an aftermarket like radio and backup camera system. And when I back into a parking spot, I just leave it in reverse, kill the engine, right? It's in gear, kill the engine. But when I turn the car back on, because the car was in reverse for some reason, the display says no signal. And I have to shift it into first and then shift it back in reverse, and this display comes back. It's a little quirky thing like that. Something to do with the aftermarket system. I don't know, but it just
that was the one use case that they just didn't test out.
I have no idea. I don't know why. I don't know why that when I leave it in gear, in reverse, turn the car off, turn it back on, it for some reason says no display on the screen. Even when even when I put it in neutral, or first or whatever. So the thing is that you can drive away. Not put it in reverse at all. So, and it will say nothing on the screen. The screen will be blank. In order to get your screen back, you got to put it back in reverse, get the camera to click on, then put it back in first, and you can go. Then it clicks back into the regular Apple CarPlay mode. It's a little goofy thing like that. It's got like little quirks this car has that would probably piss off most people that buy a car for like plush, like heated seats and a cappuccino machine in the dash and like whatever. You know what I mean? Like people like buy cars for that stuff. Like I didn't buy that car for that. If I bought that car for that stuff, I would have been like, oh, the key doesn't work. Get out of here with that. You know, or whatever. Like I don't, like I didn't buy that car for that stuff. I don't think people buy sports cars for that kind of stuff. I think they buy them for other reasons, for fun, cool cars, cool car reasons.
At least they should.
Well, they did. But that's why I think, I mean, I don't know, like Mercedes stuff and BMW stuff, and a lot of it's all plush, I mean, sure, it's got performance and they've got all the things too. Great. But I think the average person that could be going on a limb here, it's cool cars with Chris, hate mail, send them my way. I think a lot of people buy the BMWs and Mercedes and the Audis. They buy them for all the bells and whistles.
Mm-hmm. No, I mean, that's their thing. Like, and especially right now, like, over the last decade, if not more, is, what's going to be the new, sort of features that we kind of bring to these. And yeah, you got the specific, like, say the competition, M3s and M5s, and, you got those, which, yeah, like those are, truly awesome cars, like great handling, great power, and still have like, cool tech. But a lot of times the tech is the more dominant, side of things. And yeah, the performance is great. I mean, the beef, 50 engines or whatever they are, like, those things make some mad power with not a lot done to them. And just literally just like chomp everything in their path. And yeah, they have issues because they're just such high strung engines that, it's like, always say you're not going to get the same amount of mileage out of a, BMW or Mercedes as you're going to get out of a Nissan, a Toyota, even honestly a GM car. Like GM cars, American cars are kind of known for just being those cars that like they might have a lot of problems, but you literally are just not going to be able to like get rid of them. Like they're just going to keep ticking, like, until like literally the wheels fall off.
I mean, got to do basic maintenance, I guess, or whatever.
But you can do that kind of stuff with some German cars and still run into some catastrophic failure.
That's why people lease them and they toss them in before the lease is up. And the lease usually covers all the maintenance of most of these new leases. It covers all the oil changes and all the services and all that crap, whatever. If you get a lease on a new Mercedes or whatever. Yeah. But I mean, like I said, people who lease new Mercedes are the same people that probably just buy for the badge. They buy for the logo. They buy for the class of the car. They look at me. It's not what the car, it's not about the performance, really. I mean, there's
probably a small percentage, honestly, that because I do know some diehard car guys that are in that realm and that German, even like some of the crazy like Italian car,
I'm sure there are, but there are the ones that go into the dealership just looking at the prettiest looking badge and the prettiest looking thing. They always say like want to impress a chick by a Mercedes or BMW. It doesn't matter what kind it is. She's not going to know the difference. She's not going to know the difference in M3 or even a 328i. She's not going to know the difference.
And one point on that actually too is with Alfa with Alfa Romeo when they kind of made their resurgence back into the U.S. with the Giulia and they had the Stelvio and the SUV and stuff, but the Giulia was really like, okay, we're taking on the M3s and the C classes and that realm of cars because it was that mentality that like if you really truly like driving and you're in it for the driving experience, you'll be willing to take a different direction than just what everybody else does, which go with the BMW, go with the Mercedes. And that was their plug, which the Giulia, especially the Quadrifoglio, is like an amazing car, but again, it was just it didn't pick up the way that they expected because there's just a lot more people that, again, like it's the badge, it's the, that's what they're into. And again, not to say that that's all of those people in that realm, but, the sales numbers really lean towards, people were choosing it because of that. And, Alfa Romeo just didn't have that, people didn't want to take the risk to be honest, fairly played because, dealing with Fiat and Chrysler and all of that.
I mean,
but you're gonna be dealing with some headaches,
like Volkswagen headaches and stuff too. I mean, not every car. I mean,
Every car's got their
Every
deal.
car's got their issues, man. Every car's got their thing. I just think that some people just buy, what is known to be a cool car just based on like buttons, features, just like the name recognition with like Mercedes-Benz. Oh my gosh, it sounds so luxurious.
Yeah.
It's like Rolex or whatever. It sounds like money just burning out of the tailpipe. It sounds like as you roll down the road. Well, Courage, man, I know it's getting late and we've been recording for quite a while. And I want to say thank you once again for coming by today, man. I really appreciate you and all your stuff. And how's the YouTube channel coming along, by the way? You got anything new coming out down the pipe?
Yeah, I'm a little late on my my latest video.
It's okay. By the time this comes out, it'll be already out already. I know.
Yeah,
it will be.
it should already be. Hopefully, but yeah, I got a new video coming up pretty soon, and planning to kind of not necessarily change the direction of the channel, but I got some newer perspective on what's kind of driving the channel forward. So I'm gonna have something kind of posted on that.
You got to tease. You tease with this. What,
honestly, really, it's just a little bit more clarity on like what I really am excited about in terms of like new content coming forward.
Oh, nice.
So
you and me both, buddy. You and me both.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, that's fantastic, man. So what is your channel? But I'll put links in the show notes. But what is the channel so you can tell everybody?
Yep. The Driven Dad 22 will take you there on both YouTube and Instagram, and definitely do a bit more of like the daily kind of in the life and things that are randomly going on the Instagram. YouTube is a lot more of like kind of specific, events and things like that. But feel free to check it out. Not just in content, but a lot of stuff going on here in San Diego. So for sure, be sure to check it out if you're interested.
Fantastic. If you want to know more about here, you can go to coolcarswithchris.com. Everything is right over there. I'll put links to everything in the show notes of this episode. You don't have to type nothing in. Don't worry. Go down there, click. There you go. And until next time, be safe, drive legal, all the usual things. Cops are out looking for you, buddy. You know what's going on. All right, I'll catch you guys later.